What's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie B all day, your favorite Uncle Donnie. Hey, listen, I got another knife review coming at you. Even though there's nothing in my hands, I'm gonna give you one of those presto type deals. So listen, I'm gonna go over a couple things here. There's four major kinds of knife reviews that we do here on YouTube. Some of us do, a better knife review than others. And some of us do it much worse, like me. But here's the thing: you have a one of those unboxings. You have a tabletop. You have a actual knife review, testing the actual knife and showing off its capabilities, and then you have a torture test. I'm going to start with the last, torture tests. If you have zero respect for knife makers, if you have zero respect for the blade and craftsmanship, then you do a torture test. No person is going to use a knife the way it's used in a torture test. What those are for is to see what the knife will take to break. But if you're running it over with some Ford F-250, I'd rather a Silverado, then you know what, you shouldn't be owning knives. If that's what it takes to break it and you're actually using the knife for that purpose, then you should not own a knife. All right. As far as unboxings and tabletop reviews, boring. Oh my God, guys, please. If I wanted like an unboxing, okay, this is what happens. A package comes to the house and they show themselves opening the package and pulling it out and going, oh wow, look at that. And if you're lucky, they'll give it a real life test. Like they'll slice a single piece of paper with a knife to show you how great that knife really is. Yeah, so anyway, it's just boring. I can go onto Yahoo Images and get more out of still photos than I can out of an unboxing. They suck. Tabletop reviews. You're talking about how good the knife is without proving it. You're saying, oh my gosh, because I opened this box and because I've put it here on this cool little mat and because I have awesome lighting, this knife is wonderful or this knife is not good. How do we know? We don't know because you didn't show us. So improve on that, fellas. Until then, we're going to focus on the people that do knife reviews correctly. We're going to review the knives. That said, I'm bringing you 5 knives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that I'm not going to do a real proper review on because they're not real proper knives. I'm bringing you today, you can see it down here, the Rambo collection, right? I'm bringing you all the Rambo knives, including Rambo Part 2's boot knife. Remember, these are Hollywood Collectors Group's reproductions. They're not made to be battle ready. You know, they're not made to go out into the woods and bang around. If you abuse them, especially the Rambos 1 and 2 that are held on with little nuts inside or whatever, they're going to snap. So these are collector's pieces, but I want to show you that you can still use them for something. So come with me. All right, everybody. So here we are. We have in order the Rambo 2 boot knife. As you can see, it is number 1229 out of 2500. Right? We have the very classic, very famous Rambo 1. This one is also numbered. It's 2742 out of 5000. Then you have the Rambo 3, not numbered. The Rambo 4, and then the new Rambo, which was awesome. So this is what we're going to be going over today. I will tell you this. Even though I wouldn't trust chopping with the 1 and the 2, these knives, I'll tell you what, they're shave sharp out of the box. I've tested them both on edge, along with the 3, shave sharp. And they'll do the whole stupid paper cutting test. These things will cut up cardboard like it's nobody's business. So if you have them around the house and you have, a bunch of boxes, like it's around Christmas time, you need to cut up some cardboard, use them. they're good. Instead of just having them as a display, you can actually use these knives for something. The 1 and the 2, if I really needed to, I can absolutely 100% use these as a personal protection piece, because in and out of skin is not going to break these knives, and the blades are more than capable of cutting. They are real good cutting blades. Again, I just wouldn't chop with them. The Rambo 3 is something where it's held on with a nut in the rear, right? So it's not a hollow handle, obviously. The tang goes all the way through, but I don't trust the edge and the material for chopping, so I wouldn't chop with that. Now, the Rambo 4, that's the one that I had them mixed up before, but the Rambo 4, the last Rambo, that thing I've actually gone through some wood with. It's not horrible. I didn't over test the edge, but I did hit a few things, and it did chop a few things, so that was pretty good. This last one I'm going to talk about, I'm actually going to pick this guy up for you. I seen this online, and I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. I'll just add this to the collection. I had no idea that this was a knife. Like, this is a knife. I have no idea how strong the tip is. Throwing it, I would probably break it. I'm not going to lie, but check this out. Look how fat this thing is. I'm talking PHAT, fat. I don't care how you spell it. You see how it's got this ridge line here and this ridge line there? This blade is so thick, it's almost round. It's so big. I was quite impressed by the absolute girth of this knife. It is a thick knife. And this one is the only one, especially being full tang, like this one, but seems to just be made of a much more durable standard. It's pretty cool, actually. But what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go out to the 1-inch forest with these, and we're going to go through some small stuff and just give you an idea of, can I use my knife for anything? So let's go check it out. All right, so here is the collection in some cruddy-duddy wood pile. I'll tell you what, the Rambo 4 I got is so chromed out that it almost looks camo. I'll tell you what, I'm a soldier and Reveille is playing behind me, so I need to stop this, stand up, and salute. Sorry about that. All right, so I was going to apologize for having to take a time out to salute, but I'm never going to apologize for saluting the fallen. Let's get down to work. I picked a fresh section of 1-inch forest just for the Rambo knives, and let's see how they do. Stop. I have a stick in front of my stop button. I can't work it. Hold on a second. All right. Okay, now that I know how to work a stop and start button, I'm going to actually begin with the boot knife. Let's just see if we can't take it down. I'll tell you what, I hit this stick here. It broke at the top, but it made a cut through it, but didn't slice through. And I'll tell you what, this thing is dry. So I don't expect anything good to happen out of that. Let's find a better piece. This one looks a little better. All right, I finally got to get through one. Not a chopper. What? All right, so we are going to move onto the good old Rambo 1. The knife that started it all. The knife that can finish it all. It's actually a very fun knife to hold and wield, especially if you're a Rambo fan. I mean, sharp. This knife is definitely sharp. This knife is really sharp, actually. It's just tearing through this stick like it's nobody's business. Very impressive as far as the cutting edge. It's a pretty cool little knife. Look at that. That's with a Rambo knife. So here we go. That's just a straight cut. Let's see if there's any edge damage, and there is not. Again, this isn't held on with anything too good. So to swing it at something hard or to baton with it, you'd have to be an idiot. However, stabbing, slashing, this knife is an absolute stabber slasher. You know what I mean? It can chop through little pieces of wood like this. Think about if these are fingers or wrists or somebody coming at you. It's going to get the job done. A+ on part one for part one. Let's move on. Did you guys just look at my butt? Let's move on to part. Now this is a pretty meaty, girthy knife. You can tell the weight difference between this one and that one, and there's a lot more weight in the blade, so it makes it for a much better fighting knife. As far as a chopping knife or a cutting knife, it's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie to you. So let's just take off a little piece. We can see that it didn't break. It was actually a cut. We can see that it didn't break. It's actually a cut. Again, this is another very, very sharp knife. I know these are novelty items, these Rambo knives, but if you're using it for a real world skill or a real world practice, then don't be shy to put it through you know, light usage, because it's gonna do what you need it to do as far as that's concerned. I mean, any edge damage? No. Again, it's got a nut holding it on, so don't hit it into anything hard. However, if I put this through your ribs and twist and pull, it's coming out along with your guts. I can definitely use this for self-defense. I can definitely use this against an animal attack. And I can definitely use it to hold false teeth or something. I wish I had some I could show you. But anyway, really, really cool. Remember on the 1 and 2 that these screw off and you have those crappy little survival kits. Also remember that there's spaces here, so they're not waterproof. But damn, this blade is actually, the meat to it is pretty impressive. You can't see, but there's little vines dangling, and it's just slicing through dangling vines. Blade is good. All right, so let's move on to the 3. Now, obviously, the first 2 are Jimmy Lyle knockoffs. He's the one who designed the first one. This one and 4, along with the boot, were all designed by Gil Hibben. This is not the United Cutlery Gil Hibben blade. That one's actually like an inch smaller than the movie replica, where this one is just probably a ½ inch bigger, but it's a lot thicker in the handle. For someone like me with giant hands, it actually fits pretty well. But for the average hand, the Hollywood collector's knife might be too big for your hands. But what it's not too, I mean, this thing, I'll hold that way up, but this thing is a slicer, man. Being as long and as heavy as it is, it makes for, even though it's crazy thin, for a blade this long, it shouldn't be that thin. This is thick for a 6-inch to 7-inch blade. This would be, wow, it's a really nice thick knife. But for an 18-inch blade or whatever it is, it's not. So let's see, do a little sharpness test. I mean, the weight and the size of this thing offers 0 resistance when it comes to carving, things like that. Looks like y'all just been Rambo'd. I have you stuck between some fence posts, and it's probably not the best way to do it, but it is what it is. So I don't know, the phone just went to some weird thing. Hopefully you're still getting this. Actually, I'm going to adjust you guys right here. We'll do it all together. The problem is every time I stick it through the fence post, I hit some other button. This has got to make for a really good video after I was just knocking everybody else's videos. So let's try a little bit more. All right, I'm probably a little bit crooked, but you don't care, I don't care. Let's get back to doing what we're doing. I'll make this more manageable so I don't do that again, because that was completely my fault. So right away I can tell you that some of the finest curls can be made with some of the biggest blades. Really, really nice. Really, really sharp. Really, really cool. Being as thin as it is in stainless, don't baton with this. Don't bang it into hardwoods. Hardwoods, you're probably going to get those cool little warps in the blade. They're fun to look at, but they suck. They really destroy an edge. This edge, however, is not destroyed. Let's move on. All right, ladies and gents, the big guy, right? So this one, obviously, has more weight, has more length, has more girth. It has the ability to be used as a machete. I gave you the accent for all my Mexican friends. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This thing is kind of a beast. Is it sharp? Yeah, it's pretty damn sharp. But it's so big that it just handles anything you throw at it. Now, here's the thing. Will it do fine tasks? Yeah, it'll do fine tasks. Let me get a little closer for you guys. I know I just was concerned maybe I had bad breath. No, it's okay. So what I want to do is get through some of this this outer layer, and you know, I have a bunch of nice curls, but they keep falling off. So I'm just gonna start fresh. Give you a couple from the top. I lost all my curls. I was making really nice light curls with this. This thing is the only one I've used to actually go through some sticks and whatnot. It is just, it's kind of a beast, you know what I mean? You can see if, like, in certain lights, I don't know if I can catch it, but up here, yeah, you can see it right here. There's like a big dent in the blade, right? That's not from misuse, or that's not from anything outside. That's just the way it came. These are reproduction knives. They're not made to be perfect. So that's not going to affect the blade in any way. I mean, the more I move it, you could see it. Who cares? They had a dent and they just chromed right over it. They didn't care. I don't care. It's not going to take away from what I think of the knife. And what I think of the knife is, for a reproduction, it's a pretty good machete. And I would have to say that as far as machete steel is concerned, this is probably maybe a little bit stronger than your typical machete steel. So realistically, can I bring this out in the woods and use it as a machete? Fudge! Yeah, I can. So let's go do some more stuff. All right, boys and girls, I know you're a bit confused. We are, sorry about that, we are at the pallet. And I told you, you know, you don't want to chop with them and blah, 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 which is true. But what I want to do is some very light chopping, just to see. I'm going to try chopping a little bit with this boot knife, just for the hell of it. It's so thick and round, it's made to throw, not to slash or stab or chop. But I just want to see if this edge will deform a little bit. I'm not trying to break the knife, but if I dull it, it's okay, because I have the ability to sharpen a knife. As far as this, it's not a chopper, right? This thing is a thrower all day long. Let's hope and pray we don't snap this blade off, but we're gonna go light. And I can tell you right away that going light, I am taking away wood. As far as the blade's concerned, no chips, no dings, no dents, no goofy spots. Let me take this down before I stab my foot. So the First Blood Part 2, let's continue. This one, I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's biting into the wood actually. And it's chopping, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna go crazy, but I'm gonna show you chopping. And no warps, no dings, no folds, no deviations, nothing. All right, not too bad. If an emergency chopper, as long as you go slow and you don't fucking pound it, this will chop. Not too shabby. All right, let's go with the big boy. I'll move this over a little bit for you. So this is the one out of all of them that I would most worry about edge deviation. I just got a chip in my mouth. If I was going to say which one would break first, I would say the one or the two. If I was going to say which one would warp first, I would say this one. If I would say which one's going to last the longest, I'd say the 4. Light chopping, no problem. All right, so now we are going to move on to the machete. And I'm going to actually swing a little bit harder with this one, only because I have more faith in it. And I'll tell you what, you see what's happening? The faith I have is, it's not bad. I'm getting some good clean chops, and I am not affecting the blade. All right, so let's do one more. All right, one more thing. It's probably going to turn into a couple things, because you know how I am. I am going to bring these to the old stump. We're going to do a couple drops and a couple throws on each blade. That one, not a single doubt in my mind. I will not be prying with these knives. They get stuck, I'm going straight up, or I'm going with the edge, right? There's no way in hell I'm going to pry with these. All right, so a couple of drops. That's Donnie B all day's fault, not the knife's fault. It just slipped out of my hand. The problem is, this is steel, so throwing it downward, it's slippery. Let me try holding it sideways. Much better. Could have done that from the start. I mean, I'll show you what I was doing. I was holding it here and releasing it this way, right? You're welcome. And it was just slipping out of my hand. That time I turned it this way, where even though these scales aren't exactly textured or any good, really, they still made it a little bit better. So I'm going to do one more. And basically all this is doing is to check the tips, which are not bending, and to see if it would put any warp. This one's so thick, there's no freaking way it's going to warp. The only thing it would do is bend the tip or dull the tip. It did not. The tip held up really well. So now, let's see. This is the lightest of them all. But being hollow handled, I absolutely let that go at an angle. Being hollow handled, they should fall pretty well. It bit in there nice. It's biting in there actually really nice. This is a clip point with a false edge, so it's got that nice stab you point. And it's actually biting in very well. Very, very, very nice. I love this thing. The Rambo, I mean, the Rambo 1 is the ultimate in my eyes. All right, so let's go on to the Rambo 2. I'll try and drop it straight because it works better that way. Wow, man, this thing is so heavy and so girthy that just dropping it, it lands in with the bite that normal knives have a throw with. So let's see. If you're hearing a weird noise, there's like a little spring in there that when you open this up, it pushes the little survival kit out. So I'm not going to bother showing you that because it's a survival knife, Rambo knife. If you haven't seen these, just get a life. All right, so I said get a life. You're over here. We're doing knife reviews. No tip damage, no buckling, no anything. The pommel head did like loosen a little bit, but who cares? Generally not going to be throwing this. If you're going to use this for any real world stuff, well, let me tell you something. This is going to be a defense weapon. This is an absolute defense weapon. I could take them all off with this. Literally, I could forget about it, what I could do with this blade on a person. But we're not going to talk about that because that's not nice. Mama said so. Okay, so this one's going to be a little weird to drop because of the shape. And it's so big, it's almost there anyway. Man, that is one crazy long clip point. And it's really getting in there. The one thing I'm finding when I drop this is this large pommel here is just catching on my finger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pinky outside of it when I throw it. And Tell you what, that's biting in about 1 inch. And that's without effort, right? I mean, you're seeing what I'm doing. Let's see, no tip damage, no bending of a tip. I've had some high-end knives, and this is no bull. Just doing this stupid shit, I've had some high-end knives actually bend a little bit at the tip, and I was able to straighten them out by just banging them back onto the to the block. But doing just that, no bends where I've had bends with knives. Oh, let me show you something real quick while we're up here. Anybody see this slot? A lot of people are confused as to why the Rambo 3 has this giant slot, and some people think it's because of weight. It's not because of weight. When Gil Hibben originally designed this, he had this blade thing that fit in there that created 2 blades, kind of like bull horns. You know what I mean? And they stuck in, and you know, came out like that. And when it was presented to Stallone, it was the only thing that he really hated about it. So they ditched that, but these were already made with the holes, so they said, well, let's just keep this. Look how big this is. All right, so last of the bunch for the drop is the big machete. And I don't know if you could hear that thud, but it hits pretty strong. Let's do that again. Of course it's gonna go. Throwing this is kind of weird because of the shape, but I mean, I'm still doing pretty good. It's funny, I had a throwing knife going and I was missing it. I'm using a machete and it's fine. Go figure. All right, I'm glad that one kind of hit at a weird angle, because if it's gonna bend, it's gonna bend there. And well, it didn't. It's 100% okay. So I'm thinking that I was gonna be done with just this stuff, because they are collector's pieces that are meant to go on a wall, but I'm not a tabletop guy, so I'm not going to end it with a half-ass review. I want to do one more thing just for fun and just to get wet a little bit. You know what it is. Hold on. All right, so here we are. We're going to do the old water bottle slice. I got a water bottle set up here. Just got to try not to rip the top of my hot tub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go high, and then I'll try to go low, okay? Let's see what we can get here. Ugh. Well, I went middle, which is exact opposite, but let's see. Yeah. There's the high I was talking about, completely made up for it. I mean, it's sharp. All right, so that's Rambo 1. Let's put that away. I'm not going to do the throwing knife because I have no faith that it's going to cut like that. It's not what it's made for. So we're just going to use the big guys. All right. That top went flying. That one hit where I wanted to. That one flew out of my hands, but easily sliced straight through the Rambo 2. So now, the Rambo 3. All right, I wonder if I can come back across without hitting you guys. I don't know, we'll soon find out. I'm gonna move this over here a little bit. Well, I'll tell you what, that went through with ease. I just stood too far away. And again, that is just clean living right there. So, sharp, sharp, sharp. Cuts, cuts, cuts. And now let's try the machete. If I was going to have any doubts about any of the major Rambo knives with this test, it would be this one. Well, we'll soon find out if my doubts are warranted. Well, I'll tell you what. That could be user error, but I mean, I've got a flip top going on there. Easy money. Those were just for fun, pretty much just for me because I wanted to do it. All right, so let's stop this and go over. All right, everybody. So what the hell did we learn today? Well, we learned that there's some asshole out there with a bunch of really nice collectible knives, putting them into chunks of wood and chopping down 1-inch trees and slicing through water bottles and yada, yada, yada. But guess what? That asshole had a bunch of fun. And I think you would agree that this turned out to be a whole lot better than some crappy tabletop or, you know, somebody opening a box in their dining room. What can I say about the Rambo knife collection? Well, I mean, I have a tattoo of Rambo on my leg, so I could probably say a lot more than you guys can. I am a huge, huge fan. As far as these blades and blade capabilities, they are mild to a little bit less than moderate capabilities. The blades held up really good going through lightweight wood. They cut down green stuff. They cut through hard stuff. I had no problems. I had no issues. They all stood up pretty well. They're all standing up pretty well. Check that out. I like them. I mean, actually, I love them. I mean, this is part of my childhood, you know, the whole Rambo culture. It's part of the reason I became a soldier is that old crusty Rambo. I mean, I just loved him. And here you see the collection that made him famous. Hey, look, my elbow. These knives are fun. They're fun to look at. They're fun to hold, and they're even fun to use as long as you're not some jerkwad doing a torture test on knives that don't deserve it. These things are crazy, crazy cool. They are collectible, but I don't care about that. What I care about is, can I have fun with them? And today I proved to you guys that you can have fun with the Rambo knife collection. Now here's something pretty wild. That Rambo 1, the one with the green wrapped handle, that's a pretty big knife. I didn't measure it. I don't know what the blade length is. Could be 9 inches somewhere in there. It looks puny compared to some of these things, man. It is a big knife, and it is minuscule next to some of these badass choppers. But not much more I can say about it. We had a good time. We threw them around and made some business happen. One thing I will say is the Machete one, it doesn't have a handguard. So make sure that either you can rewrap it with something tackier, or just make sure you are comfortable with your grip if you're going to be playing with it, because you don't need to accidentally throw it into your leg while you're chopping down at something, or you don't need to stab down on something and have your hands slide onto the edge, because the edge will cut through your fingers with ease. No, that didn't happen to me, but I'm pretty sure if I use them a little bit more, it will, because I'm an idiot. Speaking of idiot, I am Donnie B all day, and until next knife.